pretty interesting. But my second question to you, now you can put the commissioner hat back on, because we talked a lot about reports. We talked about the RAID report. We talked about the infusion of funds coming in. We talked about the squandering of funds. And I know you can't actually give us the details on what the investigation is, but just to kind of ask where the board is at, or where the investigation is at in regards to the superintendent right now.
You know, this sounds like what people say on CNN, but I really mean it. That's a really good question. And I do have somewhat of an answer. Probably won't make you totally satisfied, but as you know, this has all been reported. The chief financial officer levies an allegation against the superintendent. I can't comment on the detail, but I'm going to tell you this: if you watch and listen very closely, you'll know that not everything that is said in the media is true. There was one allegation. I'm going to answer your question, but I do want to say this. There's one allegation about their encounter, which was clearly wrong. It was wrong and factually wrong in an offensive way. And there was no factual basis for it at all. Now, I can't get into any detail, but think about some of think about some of the stuff that was reported in the news. And in one particular outlet, I would just say, there's one particular outlet that reported something that wasn't, you know, obviously there was a complaint filed, and I'm going to tell you where it is in the process. But I just want to say, this was hard work, people. You all know that because you do the work. And, you know, when people say things that just are not based in fact, it's just sad, man. It's just wrong. This is tough work. And if you love this work, it's made even difficult when people attack, when you think you're a halfway decent person and say something that's even really outrageous. Well, maybe sometime I'll come back and I'll attend one of these meetings and maybe I can tell you what it is. But I think, you know, if you follow the news, there was one thing that was said about this, there was an allegation made, and then there was something else came in the news about what the superintendent allegedly did. And I'm just telling you, and I know you guys aren't the people that do it, but please be careful. Whether you like Lesli or the chief financial officer or not, these are people, and there are allegations that were levied. But when you say something and put in the public sphere, I mean, nobody here has done it. Nobody here has done it. But I'm just saying, and I saw that and I thought, this is tough work. People lose sleep over trying to make things better. We don't need to be losing sleep over, and we lose sleep over honest mistakes and bad mistakes that we make, and that we're not able to move the ball forward. People are really committed to this. We really, like you all, I've told Howard, because he and I go way back, the reason why I got on the board is because things were so screwed up. They weren't, I did not screw up the district. You can say I didn't improve it much, but if you know your history, you know I did not screw up the district. I would, like you, got on the board because I wanted to see it get better. It was the Stephanie had just died a few years before. I had represented her. I got $1 million judgment, but I knew that didn't change a damn thing, right? And the graduation rate was abysmally low. I still have the articles saying what the graduation rate was. I knew I wanted to, and I've been somewhat blessed. But to the Lesli thing, I will just say, before I answer your question, some of the stuff that has been said, you don't control what other people say, but use your discretion in terms of what you believe, and let the truly disputed facts be resolved. But don't. My God, something that was said that was just wrong. But anyway, okay. So to your question. We hired, you may know some of this, we hired a firm to do, when we found out about the allegations, we immediately hired a firm that is not connected with the district. Of course, we wouldn't use our own lawyers, our own HR investigators to investigate this claim of sexual harassment. We instead hired a firm. They are just about done with their report. I just got this because everybody on the board and in the media and in the community want to know, like you, well, what's happening next? And I can tell you, hot off the press, that we expect that the report is going to be complete by, I think they said December the 6th. So it's right around the corner. Now, here's the interesting question, which I've asked our lawyers about. And we've also retained lawyers. I'm going to tell you. So not only do we retain somebody to investigate this, but we retained lawyers because now the district, because the chief financial officer claimed that Lesli did X to her, but she also has an action in the Human Rights Division against the district. So we had to retain a lawyer. And so that lawyer will be representing the district in a claim that was filed in the Human Rights Division. So one of the questions that I've asked them is, now check this out. If you've been following the Andrew Cuomo thing, right? You notice that all that stuff was out in the public sphere, right? The women that had accused him, the Attorney General's report, the state Senate and Assembly and panel that investigated, all their findings were made public. But some of you may know, having experienced this in the district, whenever there's a personnel matter, the matters by law cannot be discussed publicly. You know, I'm not just not being transparent. You know, that is the law. We're not. So I asked our lawyers, I said, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I asked our lawyers, I said, well, do you realize that there's a public expectation that when this report is done, that it's going to be made public? And why is there that public expectation? Because they've been watching what's been happening with Andrew Cuomo et al. And everybody and their mothers expecting that when this thing is done, they're going to have access to what actually went down. And I said, but we're not allowed to discuss that. Why? I asked him, I said, why is the Assembly, the Attorney General, and the Senate able to discuss their findings, but we are being told we can't? You know what people are going to say if I say to them, oh, we can't release the report? I don't have an answer to that question yet, which I'm sure is what you wanted to hear me say. When will we see the findings? I don't know that you will. And I'm conceding, if somebody tells me legally I can't release that report, I'm going to catch holy hell for it. Why? Because everybody and their mother has been watching what's been going down with Andrew Cuomo, and they have this expectation that all this stuff should be in the public sphere. And I'm telling you, everything, and you all have been around the district, know this, and we've caught hell for it before, you know, like the teacher does something to a child sexually, you frequently see, we say we can't talk about it, right? And people say, oh, why, right? But you see the trouble, and that's why I said to the lawyer, you need to give me some legal guidance, because I don't see how come Cuomo can talk about it, or the Attorney General can talk about it, but we can't. And I'm waiting for an answer to that question. That's going to be you don't just want to know where we're at. You probably want to know, when are we going to see this report? When are we going to know the findings? Did she do it or didn't she? And I don't know. I'm trying to get out ahead of it, but I don't know what the answer to your question is. When are we going to see that report? I don't know that you'll ever see it. And that's a problem. I think that's going to be a problem for us if you cannot.
But Van, I'm no attorney. I'm no attorney at all. But I do remember the Maglia case, the pervert who is in prison now. I think he's still in prison, who molested all the children in the district. We were told the same thing then. But we never saw any full report. But we did see some of the information which was spoilable. Remember, the people want to see this and feel we have a right to, not just because of what's happening with Cuomo. This is our damn money that's being spent. Them attorneys that you retaining and so forth, you retaining them with our money. That's our money. And so there is certain stuff that is, I know this, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't want to say I know. I believe this based on previous cases. There's certain information that's spoilable that we can find out. We might not be able to find out fully whatever the attorneys give you, and it's kind of like we've depended on the media to do that for us. That's what happened in the Lamaglia case, I remember.
Well, I'm going to tell you what you can foil. You know this, so I'm not telling you no. So what you can foil is, and we would just release it. We wouldn't make you foil it. How much we paid the attorneys. You would be able to find out who the attorneys were, who the investigators were, how much we paid them. And in terms of that other case, it could be, and I don't have the history here in front of me, but could be because it was prosecuted. That opens up a door to have access to information that is not protectable in the educational context. So again, I don't recall the exact scenario that you're talking about in terms of people having access. I do know the community found out the details of that, but it might have been because it was prosecuted. And once a case is prosecuted, it's all on. Anybody can see that. Now, if you've ever foiled something, you know you can't have access to stuff that's under pending criminal investigation. But once an indictment has been made, has come down, or once an arrest has been made, that stuff, including the mugshot, all that stuff is foilable, is accessible to the public. That may be the difference. I have no reason to believe that this situation will result in any kind of criminal prosecution. So if it doesn't, I don't know, under the standard rules that we normally deal with as a district, whether the information is going to be, I don't believe it's going to be foilable. And so the reason why I asked that, lawyer, is I know people, not only because these are taxpayer dollars, we spend taxpayer dollars all the time, and you can't find out about, teachers the reasons why we suspend a teacher, because it's all confidential. Those are taxpayer dollars. So I know that's what people are going to think. I also think what's also going to be a challenge for us is not only these are taxpayer dollars that paid for these lawyers to do this, but I also think people are going to say, wait a second, Van, how come we can find out all about the horrid details about what Andrew Cuomo did to those young ladies, but we can't find out about whether, and I don't know whether an employee can say release the stuff, or whether both employees have to say release the stuff. But that's why I asked the lawyer to answer the question, because I think there's an expectation, for whatever reason, that this is going to be made public. And the reality is, under most rules, and you all know what I'm talking about, this stuff is not accessible to the public. It says employee related. If they indicted somebody on something, yeah, but that's not going to happen here. There's no criminal conduct that I'm aware of. But just an employee's file, I don't think generally we're allowed to release that.
So you will share with the community that attorney's answer to that question: why is Cuomo's stuff public and this is not?
If I knew I was coming back here for another quarterly meeting, I certainly would. But you can always I'll tell you what, if you come by here for dinner and a game of pool, 8-ball, because that was Dr. King's favorite game.
All right.
I will tell you what answer I got then.
All right. That's a bet. We'll do that. Unless there's anything else, we appreciate you.